Hi, welcome back to my channel, Fabulously Frugal and Fancy. I'm Brandy, and Fabulously Glam Christmas. This has been so much fun for me. I really enjoy making Christmas things. I really enjoy being able to share them all with you. So I hope you enjoy this newest episode of Fabulously Glam Christmas. Take a look at what we're doing and let me know what you think at the end. We'll talk soon.
Alright, so I take two of these little mini wreaths that come in a pack from Dollar Tree, and I just take some more of that microfiber cloth, and I just cut it into strips. I'm not really measuring, I'm just cutting into strips. And yes, I'm using the gloves for the hot glue because too many burns on my hands, and these gloves do come from Harbor Freight. They are like $2 a pair. They have rubber hands. It really keeps my hands safe when I'm doing stuff like this, especially with fabric, because the glue just comes right through it and burns you. And I just covered the entire little mini wreaths with the Dollar Tree microfiber cloths, and I just wrap it all the way around each one. Now, wearing the gloves does make it a little difficult to use some small things, but I've had no problem using them. They really do protect my hands, and I don't have to worry about the little finger protectors. And I just do the same with the other little mini wreath form. And I did not use two full microfiber cloths, but I did use part of the second one. Here, I only put one of the gloves back on. I managed not to burn my other hand, though. Not sure why I didn't put the second one back on. Now, in my kitchen, I'm doing the red and white theme in my kitchen, and there's a few doors off of my kitchen, so I'm making this door hanger to hang on one of the doors as a decoration into the kitchen. And I just wrap it all the way around, and then I just trim off the excess. I have these red berry picks. I believe those came from Walmart. They could have come from Dollar Tree, but I believe these came from Walmart. Could not find my little wire cutters there at first. Sorry, I'm a little disorganized. And I just cut some of those berries apart. These are not the frosted ones, although I have some of those too, and I think those are really pretty. And I'm using this ribbon from Walmart. It is red and white. The red is velvet on there. So just so you know, it does, things do attach itself to that velvet. Like the little pieces of the microfiber cloth will kind of stick to it. You just have to brush them off after. And I just put a little piece of the red berry pick. Again, just wanting to really highlight that red and white and just let it show, so that that door that is off of our kitchen does match the red and white that I have in the kitchen as well. Now, first I put that one on backwards. I wasn't really paying that close of attention, and so then I switched it around. At least I did it before I completely glued everything down. That's really simple, but that's all I did with these. Added some of the little white picks as well. The small ones, those did come from Dollar Tree. And these aren't like the pure white. They're almost like a pearly white. And I just thought it looked really pretty. And I took it upstairs and I hung it on the door. I used one of the command strip hooks on the back of the door and just, you know, used a zip tie to attach the ribbon to it. But I thought this turned out really cute. Just a little pop of red and white there on that door to match my kitchen decor. And then we are moving on to the next one. This is my inspiration. I saw this at Walmart and I believe it was 11 something or maybe 10, about $10, a little peppermint candy tree. I just didn't want to pay that, so I decided to see what I could come up with that's a little different. Now I'm using this red and white glitter foam that I got one sheet of each from Walmart. And that little tree, I don't use the second tree. I end up not using. The tree form is the tinsel tree from Dollar Tree, and I took the tinsel off, and then I'm just cutting all of the glitter foam into strips. I'm not measuring, I'm just kind of guessing there. And I did lose a little bit of this footage of me doing this tree, but I will explain what I'm doing here in just a moment. Just cutting the red and white, and the foam is thin, so it's easy to cut two pieces at once. And then I just cut each one of those pieces in half. So I then folded all the pieces and then just cut them in half. Alright, so after I cut them in half, I just take some pieces and I'm just trying to place them around to see how I'm going to glue them. This is where I lost the footage. I did put my gloves back on and did hot glue these. I start with the red, go around in the bottom, do red, white, just interchanging. I did have to cut a little cut a little notch so they could go around those poles at the very bottom. And then I just, pushed them up, glued them all down. Here I was just trying to see how many I would be using, and those little things that poke out, I left those on. Those do actually help it to grip later on. And then I just started with the white and glued them up to the next ledge and to the bottom piece there. This is how it turned out. I added some of the peppermint candy ornament things that came from Hobby Lobby and a couple of red ornaments at the top, and I really like how this little Christmas tree turned out. Again, here's what I was inspired by. It looks totally different, but this is what I came up with, and I really enjoy having this on my kitchen counter. It looks really cute. Very festive and very peppermint candy-ish. Alright, so on to the next thing that we're doing. This has turned out to be my favorite. Now this is my foam cutter. This is a it's a wire, and it heats up the wire, and only takes it about a second to turn on. Then you just push the foam through and it gives you a perfect cut. It does smoke a little because it is burning it, so you want to be careful. That wire does get very hot. And then I cut off some of the length because I'm making it to go in a doorway and I wanted the length to be the same. So then you just turn that off and set it aside. And I take my 2 half pieces of fun foam. I didn't cut it perfectly even in the middle, and that was okay. I just took some packing tape to connect these together. I'm making a garland that is about 7.5 feet long, so I end up kind of moving some things and making my table a little longer in the end. But then I get these microfiber cloths from Dollar Tree. They're in the automotive section. I take them lengthwise and cut them in half because I'm going to wrap this around my fun foam, and I want it kind of ruched, almost like it's gathered up around it. So I just keep cutting until I have enough to cover the entire thing. And I glued them to the front just so that I would know where, and then I flipped it over And then I glued them all the way around in the back. See, I'm just kind of ruching them because I want it to look full and fluffy, because this white is very fluffy and it's pretty. So I just cut these lengthwise in half. And there's part of it hanging down into the floor. You can't really see it. It looks like I have all of it, but my table is not 7.5 feet long. So then I'm gathering up my red and white that I want to add to it. Not sure what all I'm going to add, but I just gather what I have. So then I have it all ready. And in my hands, I have these red poinsettias, that big red one with the white, this ribbon. All of those came from Walmart. Those white picks came from Dollar Tree. The white furry ornaments came from Dollar Tree. The mesh came from Dollar Tree. So I'm just kind of wrapping it around the bottom, folding it over the top, and then just kind of gathering it up a little bit. And I'm going to wrap it all the way around so that I know about how long I want it. And I just glue it to the front to start. This is just my starting point, so I just go down the line, keep moving it down, gluing it right there, gluing the next one on. And I'm just kind of gathering those, but I'm not connecting it all just yet. I just want to connect to see if I have enough cut. I'm just kind of gathering it up, pushing it down, covering all of that red pool noodle. Using my Ryobi glue gun. It is a high temp glue gun, so be careful not to burn yourself. I do use the gloves a lot of times. Right here I'm not yet. I'm not sure why, but I just go all the way around, and then at the end. So then I'm scooting it back down to the end. And again, this is 7.5 feet long, so it does turn out very long, and it's a little tough to work with at first, just as I'm wrapping the cloths around. Then it becomes easier because it's just, I put something at the end there to kind of extend my table. I just put a tote at the end with a box sitting on it. So alright, I didn't show the rest of me wrapping that. It was just pretty simple, and as you can see at the end of my table, it goes all the way. And here I'm just trying to find my center point because I do want to have the big large flower in the middle. And I just kind of lock my tape measure. Now this ribbon is the same red and white that I used throughout this entire video. I used only one roll. It came from Walmart. It was in their Christmas stuff. I used zip ties and dovetail the end. And then I just want to do kind of a little loop, twist it around, go to the end, and I just use zip ties to attach it. I wrap it all the way around. If you have not seen, I love watching his garland making, and it's Ramon at Home on YouTube, and he does a fabulous job with garlands. And I did not make mine nearly as full as he did his, because I wanted some of this white to kind of show through, but I wanted the white to be a base, and I also wanted it to kind of show. So I'm just, can't really see because again, this thing is too long. So what I'm doing is I'm just going kind of zigzag from the top to the bottom, top to the bottom. And each spot I just make a little loop, twist it around, zip tie it in place. And I am trying to go up and down so that the ribbon is all over. As you can see here, here's where I take it up. This ribbon is only one-sided, so I'm trying to make sure that that the velvet red and white does kind of come through. Now, I'm sorry, the only part that is velvet is the red, but the white. So I'm just making little loops, going down, up and down, all the way to the end. Making another little loop, using a clear zip tie. They're not totally clear, but it's like a white zip tie so that it blends in and you don't really see any of that. And then I am just pulling that zip tie tight. I go all the way to the end, make another loop. I did make sure to dovetail my ends. And like Ramon at Home says, what you do on one side, you do on the other. So this is exactly what I did on the other end. And then, again, my measuring tape there is locked just to show me where my middle piece is. I'm just going through and cutting all the ends off the zip ties. And I used a lot of zip ties for this because I didn't want to glue anything necessarily to the garland, because I'm not sure how to store this for next year, so I'll probably end up taking it apart. So I didn't want to, this big flower with the red and white little ticking stripe around the edge. This poinsettia is gorgeous. It had a little clip on the back, but I did not want to use the little clip. Sorry, all my little picks had gotten kind of stuck together, so I kind of have to pick some things apart. I don't use the gold in this one, so I'm just putting those back in there. And I had these little red pom-poms that were glittery, these white and red little twirlies. Those all came from Walmart. And the big flower, I believe, was about $3. The one with all the color. The other ones were about $1.97, 98 cents. And I'm just spacing those out evenly, but I'm not measuring. I'm just kind of eyeballing it throughout the entire thing. So at first I'm clipping them on, and then I go back and add some zip ties, and then I want these twirly things to go around the large flower in the center, because that's going to be my centerpiece of the entire thing. And then I just take the red pom-pom balls and I just kind of put them in different spaces. If you can hear my dog barking, I apologize for that. She's upstairs, and apparently we have a delivery. It is her job in life to inform us when somebody is in our driveway or in the street. So, and then I'm just trying to find the placement where I want to put these white fluffy ones, and I don't know if I actually use any of the small red ones. Now, I was trying to fit a zip tie through that hole. It did not work. So I ended up using, to attach those ornaments, I ended up using fishing wire and just tied it tight around. And then I'm taking some of the white picks, placing those. I'm placing everything first, and then I do go back in, zip tie it all down. And then I used, getting the tags off these was not easy. And the bottom clip thing, because the clip would show, so I didn't remove it on all of them. All right, here's the final piece hanging above the door in between my dining room and my kitchen. It is not perfectly centered, but here it is up close. Sorry you could not see me actually making each part of this, but it was so long. And that's the final look. I used a few of those small glitter ornaments, but everything from Walmart and Dollar Tree. And it is 7.5 feet long. I love how it turned out. All right, so here I'm making a kind of a placemat, almost like a table runner, to go on our island. And I take one of the table runners from Dollar Tree, the satin ones. It's got like embossed, designs on it. And I take these poinsettia, the foam poinsettias. They're very thin, but they come in a pack from Dollar Tree. And I'm just kind of placing those on there. I used spray adhesive, and I just sprayed the backs of the snowflakes. I sprayed them off camera because I was trying to keep my area not sticky. And I just pushed those down, and these stuck really well. I just put them all on there. Again, for the red and white, it's very bold, it's very vibrant, and it matches my kitchen. So that is all for that. And here it is on my island underneath our fruit basket. And it's just that little pop of red right there on our island in the middle of the kitchen. All right, so moving right along. Next, I do not like to have the Lysol wipes sitting out on the counter, but I use them all the time. So I found this cardboard container. It had iced tea mix in it, and I took that, I painted it white. I didn't do that on camera. And then I'm taking these red and white paper straws from Dollar Tree. I used 2 packs of those. I'm cutting them roughly in half. Some are longer than others, and I don't want them perfectly even, so I have some longer, a little bit, some a little bit shorter. And then I just cut all of them in half, all 2 packs. And I'm putting my gloves back on to protect my hands. I grab a little bit of the leftover microfiber cloth, and I just kind of glue that around the top half. Not the full half, it's kind of like 3/4. I just glue it down, making sure the top is even. The bottom, it doesn't really matter if it's even because it's going to be covered by those paper straws. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word there for a second. But it's going to be, I used the finished edge at the top because I didn't want the little fuzzies to be like constantly coming off. Probably didn't really need to paint the cardboard container. It's like one of those cardboard aluminum containers that comes from, I had like I said, the iced tea mix was in it. And then I just add glue to the bottom of that, press it down with my gloved hand so I don't get burned. I do want that to stay secure even though the straws are going over it. And then I just start gluing. I add a whole bunch of glue, add several straws. I want them even at the bottom, so I was trying not to burn my finger there, and then I'm like, forget it, I'm putting my gloves back on. Alright, so I just add a whole bunch of glue, add a couple of straws, and I'm trying to go shorter, longer, all the way around. Doesn't really matter if it is perfectly even, at the top, but the bottom, I just kind of lay it along the bottom and then just push it up. And I just continue that all the way around. Here I am trying to figure out which ones are longer, which ones are shorter, so I can kind of lay them in a little pattern, so I'm not trying to pick them up and determine which ones are longer and shorter, because at first I hadn't separated them, and I'm kind of going long, short, long, short, long, short all the way around. And I was just like, okay. And first I just cut up the first pack. I wasn't sure if I would use 2 full packs. And I did almost use 2 full packs. I did cut up the entire second pack. There were a couple left over, I think 4 or 5 left over, and I just set those aside for another project. And then, not real specific about these, not making sure they're perfectly straight or anything like that. I'm just going for the peppermint look around this, and if it's a little uneven, that's perfect, because if you were making these with real candies, if you're working with candies, you're not going to have perfect straight lines. You're not going to have everything just matching up perfectly. So because I am working with a high temp glue gun, the glue stays hot a little bit longer. It takes it a little bit longer to cool off, so I'm able to add a big swath of the hot glue at a time, and then just add a whole bunch of sticks. And see here, I got tired of cutting individually, so I just decided to cut a whole bunch at once. A couple of them went flying across the room because I did that, but I was able to find them all. Again, just putting the short ones by on one end, the long ones on another end. And then just getting those all in order so I don't have to hunt them out. Add more glue, add more paper straws. I have to think of that every time. I'm never quite sure what that is that I'm trying to say there. I'm sorry about that. But again, if I was using a low temp glue gun, I would have to like add a lot more glue each time. because I would only be able to add a few because the glue cools down quicker. So if you're not afraid of the high temp glue, then I would recommend using the high temp glue for this, simply because you can add a larger swath of the hot glue and add more paper straws, you know, as quickly as possible. Now, because I wasn't making sure they were straight, I did have a little gap, but I cut, not a gap at the top, bottom, but up at the top. So I just cut one of the pieces down a little bit and kind of crammed it in the part of a gap, because they weren't totally, you know, here I am just cutting a little piece, and I just add that final one in there. And then I take a little bit, I still have some of that ribbon left, just using up all of what I have. I glue that around. And then I add a bow to it and some more of those white pearl looking berries. I am not a bow maker, so I just use other people's idea of making it into like the yellow ribbon shape, putting a twist tie around it. I didn't use twist tie. I actually used, because I think I was out of the white twist ties, I just used some more of the fishing wire. If you do not have fishing wire, get it. They have some that is thinner, more transparent. They have some that is a little thicker. I use it to hang things. I use it to decorate. I use it quite often when I'm doing events, especially because when you're doing an event, you want to hang a decoration. You don't want whatever you're hanging it with to show. So fishing wire is, I believe, should be in every crafter's stash. Take a little scrap piece of the ribbon and I just wrap it around the center of that bow. You have to kind of hold it in place a little bit longer or it will fall off. And then I'm just kind of holding it there. Get one of the little picks, stick it there. And I did not want the berries to stick up above the top because, again, this is going to be a functional thing because I'm using this to hide my Lysol wipes. So I just add a little dab of hot glue to the bottom of my tails, and I just stick it too because I don't want them to stick out. I also do the same with the back of the bows. That's what I'm doing there, and you can't really see it, so that it stays up where I want it to stay. And again, this is going to be something we reach into all the time, so I didn't want the pieces just coming off, being pulled off. Lysol wipes fit right down in there, can sit right on the counter. Nobody ever knows that it's Lysol wipes. It just looks like a pretty vase, but I can reach inside and get my Lysol wipes and without having to put them in a cabinet or under a counter. See, it's right there. Plenty of room to open the lid in there. Just reach them out, get them out, and use my Lysol wipes. So that is it for this one. That's the last DIY we have today.
So what'd you think of that garland, the peppermint, red and white? I really liked how bright and vibrant that was and how it all turned out. I apologize if you hear some loud noises. My nephew's in the other room and he is gaming and he's making some noise. Unfortunately, I did ask him to be a little quieter, but I can still hear him. So you may hear him as well, and if you do, I apologize for that. If you liked this video, if you like being frugal, saving on a budget, crafting on a budget, the next few videos are going to be DIYs, but I do have some upcoming videos on some very fun things for Christmas. So please subscribe to my channel, like this video, leave me a comment below, let me know where you're watching from and what you liked, what you disliked, what you would do or not do that I did. So please let me know, and I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.